before time began. Transformers fans, anybody? No, you're here for dinosaurs, right? So, real quick, we're on a tight schedule, we'll do the thing, go. I know, I'm hurrying. They're always watching me like, go, go, go. So my name is James Washington, if you don't know who I am. I think some of you look familiar, actually. You can see you through the lights. So we're going over paleontology, kind of a crash course, I call it, because these are questions I get a lot of. I'm going to kind of go over the main idea, and we can do Q&A outside, right? Yes. Yeah, okay, good. So wait, you're doing the thing. Make sure. I don't like technology. Like, remember Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park? He didn't like technology. There it goes. So who am I? I work at Lone Star College and here, and I did a lot of stuff there. I did with our museum. I did with the Whiteside Museum, the Atlas Museum, Brussels-Port. I have a lot of connections to museums because digging is what I like to do, and teaching like this. So thank you, Ruth, for letting this happen. Okay, so paleontology timescale. Does anyone know this or remember from college or high school or just torturing yourself? One of you? Okay, one of you shaking? Okay, yeah. So the thing is, it's not the periodic table, but the thing with this timeline is, this is the backbone of geology and paleontology. The record of rock is really important to us in terms of what we can find, what we should find, what we dig. And so for the idea of the periodic table is more detail-oriented, but there is detail here as well. And so, no, there we go. So first of all, when you read a book, you read from top to bottom. In geology, we read from bottom to top. So the earliest part of the Earth, we have the Hadean time, basically the origin of Earth itself. So not super awesome for life. But by the time we get to late Paleozoic, we have things like this, and this layer right there. And so the idea is that this is a huge layer of rock all over the world, but we see these kind of life forms at this point. By Cambrian, we see this stuff here. So when we're looking for certain rock layers, we're saying, oh, it's a Cambrian age rock, it's a Cretaceous age rock. Those aren't just like fun terms, they're actually a layer of rock with these fossils found there. They're not found anywhere else for the most part. They're found in this layer, exposed at certain times and places. Oh, sorry, I'm paranoid. So. Just a person's behind me suddenly. So in the Ordovician, and again, these names, Cambria, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, those are all British terms of regions of England. So the example is when the Roman Empire was heading out to England trying to conquer land, get gold, they were looking at these names. These areas were like the Ordovician, Silurian tribes of certain regions. Those regions had those names. We later on found those fossils there and said, oh, they're Silurian fossils. Turns out the same rocks are found all over the world, pretty much. And so we're finding the same fossil type, not the same species necessarily, different parts of the world. So the Silurian, for example, known for its giant sea scorpions. Most of what I'm showing you is in our hall at some point, so check it out before you leave tonight. The Devonian age of fish after Devon, England. So now fish show up in the Cambrian, but they're like pipsqueaks. They're taking over at this point. The Carboniferous, and the first vertebrate on land is around this time too. Carboniferous, when you think about giant bugs, that's this time here, basically. So there were bigger bugs in Jurassic 2, but not as big. This is like 8-foot millipede relative, a 3-foot wide dragonfly relative. This is the time. Now it says Pennsylvania, Mississippian. What's going on there is that in Europe, they found this giant layer of coal, and then the Carboniferous, the bear of coal. That's in Europe. In America, we found the Pennsylvania deposits, Mississippian deposits. Are we going to call ours Carboniferous? No, we're Americans. Are they calling theirs Mississippian? What's Mississippian to them? So the names are different, the same region of rock, basically. The early Permian is important to me. I actually dig there a lot. Like literally, I like to dig it. But the late Permian is where we find fossils in South Africa and Russia. So I haven't dug there yet. Just you wait. But the idea is that we have a difference in fauna in this one layer, these two different layers here. Now, the Triassic has these kind of things. Now, dinosaurs aren't entirely in charge yet. They're ruled. I'm going to go over more detail later on. It's going to be timed, my handlers. But the idea here is that there's other things living that are ruling the world during this time, and dinosaurs are the underdog. So dinosaurs didn't rule the entire Mesozoic. They really kind of took off right here in the late Triassic, got bigger, and then really ruled here before the whole extinction event. So the Jurassic is also important to me. I actually dig there a lot, too. And so it's one of the age of giants. We'll see why later on. Cretaceous period, for example, every kid loves Spinosaurus now because of new discoveries. Spinosaurus was found in North Africa, Egypt, and Morocco. It was about 100 million years old. Meanwhile, Velociraptors found in Asia, Mongolia in particular, hence the name Velociraptor mongoliensis, about 75 million years ago. And then T-Rex is found in late Cretaceous 66 million years ago. So I know Jurassic Park told you they were all at the same time and place, but it's not a documentary, it's a movie. Now you're laughing at me because some of you who don't know me, the idea is that I was a head tour guide for 10 years, and I would teach everybody all the time, everything. And I had people literally arguing like, I saw it in Jurassic Park, it must be true. And I'm like, I went to college for this, and my whole 20 years of my life has been devoted to this field. So that's why I say it's not. It's a movie. It's a movie, you know. And I don't get mad at Jurassic Park for being incorrect. It's a movie. When I see documentaries that are incorrect, that's when I blow up. My poor wife, she'll be like, "What's going on in there?" And she's like, "Why are you yelling?" "Because Nat Geo says me wrong, you know." Anyway, she has fun. Giving me through some time. It's not actual anger. It's like a science fun anger. And so, too far back. So my scene, for example, is when Megalodon lived. I want you to know that the Meg movie came out, the first Meg movie, a few years ago, and everyone thinks Meg lived with dinosaurs, and for like a decade, I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's not a thing. They lived after dinosaurs, before the Ice Age. And then Meg 2's trailer shows a Megalodon eating a T-Rex. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I saw that in my house, I was like, dang it! And my wife goes, what's wrong? Like, for the next 10 years, I'm gonna be explaining this to kids every day. Finally, the Pleistocene, which is the Houston area, Ice Age stuff, and of course, we are living now in the Holocene. Or we're in the Cenozoic with the Holocene at the time. That was a big deal. When does the Cenozoic end? Right now. Right now. Right now. It's still happening. So, if you want to be really, really stressed out, I assume some of you are geology majors and stuff, or geology. So here's where's the Jurassic is right there. There's lower, middle, upper, and all these different layers here. That's what I do all day. So when people are saying, hey James, let's argue about this one thing here, I'm studying each of these subdivision layers and what animals and fauna are changing in those times. That's what gets me really excited. And I'm a nerd, hence museum job, but that's what you're seeing. And so when we say Jurassic period, it's a huge swath of time. It's millions of years. All right, so here's the thing in Texas. My undergrad is mainly in geology of Texas and paleontology, Texas. So when you see this picture here, you're saying, oh, what a cool abstract art image. Some artist made this beautiful thing. And it is beautiful, but it's a science art. These layers are actually rock layers. And the idea is that, for example, this yellow stuff here is where we are. Houston, you're right there. You're right there. Wave to yourself. Now, the idea is that as you go further this way, it gets younger. So for example, I dig in Dimitrodon, Seymour, Texas. There's like Amarillo, here's like Dallas. It's the middle of nowhere. There's no Walmart. That's how small. When I go and dig, that's how I determine a town size. If it's a Target, it's a bigger town. Walmart, smaller town. Dollar General, small town. They have Dollar General. I've been to towns without a Dollar General. It's just, yeah, I know. I'm like, ooh, let's see. But they're nice people when you find them. So in Ladonia Fossil Park, which is north of Dallas, Sulphur River, you can find these cretaceous oysters called Exogyro ponderosa. What a fun Texas name. They're just there and you can get them. They're totally legal as long as you're not in a state park, national park, or private property. Or if it's human remains. If it's human remains, call the police. If it's private property, you're going to get shot in Texas. And then also, if it's on state park, you can get fines. But if you're on public land, that is a free follow. How do I know that? I have a room of them downstairs. Not you can vouch for me. So they're free. So here we have mammoth tooth. So of course, they're like, I didn't quite plant at Waco, but the idea is the Waco mammoth site is there. And we find Columbian, not woolly mammoth. Texas was so hot, even in the Ice Age, there were no woolly mammoths here. Because it's always been hot. Texas. When I was digging in Wyoming for the first time, the people I was digging with were in Indianapolis, and they're like, James, how do you wear that outfit in the field? It's so hot today. I'm like, I'm from Texas. It's 109 degrees right now in the field. Here it's like 85 degrees. It's Montana mountainside. Yeah, this is like a breeze, literally. Anyway, so Columbian mammoths are found here. A lot of horse teeth are found in the rivers here. And that's Ice Age stuff too, so you're seeing the times they're living in. Things that have not dug up yet personally, but are out here are Quetzalcoatlus, the largest flying thing ever, other than a plane or a transformer. And give you an idea, it's not just cemetery rocks that bear fossils, we have igneous rocks. Oh no, post-Texas, which again, middle of nowhere. Their town, you know Post cereal? The guy who founded Post cereal? He founded Post-Texas, and his rule was no preachers and no lawyers. Now that rule has been repealed. I've been there before. I've seen the preachers and lawyers running around, you know, in their natural habitat. But as far as igneous rocks, we have the hill country here. That's a 1.0 billion year old granite. One of my neighbors, he's like an accountant for an oil company, and the geologist gave him a rock, like a chert. He said it's about 1 million years old. And I didn't want to crush the person's bubble. He's like, it's 1 million year old rock. Look how, it's 1 million year old rock. And I'm like, that's not that old in geology. I said, my granite countertops are, you know, like 1.5 billion years old. He goes, what? I'm like, your granite countertops are, it's a granite world. Anyway, so here's an idea. So to give you an idea of perspective, why the rocks are certain ages, again, crash course, is that when you're here in the Houston area, that is the Ice Age. So A is like right here, and then, oh, another A, how about that? Yeah, right there. So you're cutting through like here, right? So pretty much, this area is right here, so we find Ice Age stuff. You go further back, you have the Oligocene, Eocene, Paleocene. These are older things. So when you go into Lufkin or Dallas, you're driving up through time. These rocks are depositing out with the rivers, right? And of course, Cretaceous, if you go to Austin, San Antonio, Dallas is limestone, that's Cretaceous time. So that limestone rock is under us right now. It's just buried by mud and oil and gas, which is our industry here. If you are a paleontology major, know this, the two focuses are geology, biology. In Houston, geology is oil, biology is medicine. And I hate money, so I chose teaching in a museum. But the idea here is, when given a choice of two lucrative fields, I say no, teacher. And science teacher in a museum. Anyway, the point is, I don't like to fly when I can, and that's why I drive. So if you are a paleontology person and you don't like flying, get ready to drive in the middle of our country. I encourage every American to just drive around America and just see the country, see the people and everything, because it's fun for the first hour or two. You're like, this is so exciting. I'm not at a desk. I'm driving. But then 8 hours in, like, I'm still driving on the same road. I miss my desk. I miss the internet sometimes. But the idea is it's really beautiful, right? So here's the thing. The word dinosaur, where's it coming from? People always ask me in the museum, why is the word dinosaur, like, wasn't in the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, right? And I say, here's why. The word dinosaur was coined in 1842 by Richard Owen, this British scientist, a naturalist. And so he took the word dinos, meaning terrible, and monstrous in Greek, meaning lizard, terrible is a dinosaur. It was coined in 1842. So it's a new word. It was written or created after those books were written, right? How do you define a dinosaur? This is a big thing. Everything, I learned in the college all the rules, and then I came here to the public, and everyone's like, it's extinct dinosaur. I'm like, no! There's a lot of things that are not dinosaurs. And so, for example, not to bore you, but like the holes in the skull, the way the ankles move, dinosaurs, watch this, they can't do this. They only like birds, they can't twist their ankle that way. But their hips are designed are all important. So the way we tell species apart today, modern time, you have DNA for modern animals. For dinosaurs, we have no DNA. Again, despite what the movies told you, there's no DNA. So we instead look at the anatomy and the morphology of the animal. That's the way we determine these things. What are we doing next? All right, this. So these are dinosaurs. So if it looks like this stuff here, these are all dinosaurs. These are things that I would look into particularly and say, yeah, that's a dinosaur. Things that are, that's me at Dinosaur Park in Jasper. So if you want to know, my favorite dinosaur is Brachiosaurus. When I was a kid, I saw Jurassic Park, and I always saw it in my books, and like, this is my dinosaur. When I went to Dinosaur Park as a grown man, I saw it. And like Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park, I was like, here's a dinosaur. A grown man was like, I was almost weeping. And my wife's like, are you okay? I'm like, it's because I'm to the elbow. I'm 5'10", which is, you know, and it's this giant thing. And even though she goes, you work in a museum, you dig up these things for real. Why are you excited? And I said, because it's actually covered in flesh. You can see how big it is. And she's like, you really are a child. And I say, well, yeah, you knew who I was, you married me. What are not dinosaurs are these things. Plesiosaurs are marine reptiles. Pterosaurs are not dinosaurs. You're like, wait a minute, they live with dinosaurs, right? They're their cousins. So I always ask kids, I teach all the kids here, I say, do you have any cousins? And the kids go, no. I said, okay, do you have parents? They're like, yeah. Do your parents have siblings? They go, yeah. Do your siblings have kids? You're like, yeah. I'm like, those are your cousins. The point is, new fact of the day. So pterosaurs and dinosaurs share a common ancestor, like your grandparents and your cousins are common ancestor. Pterosaurs are closer to dinosaurs. These are a whole different branch altogether. Another example of this concept are mammoths. They are way off. They're mammals like us. We have mammoths with brown hair, red hair, and black hair. We found them in Russia. They fall in the ice. They're preserved. They have all the parts there. We have not found blonde mammoths yet. We're still looking. So, saber-toothed cats, of course, are not dinosaurs, and more obviously, iguanas. People think they're dinosaurs too. And last but not least, crocodiles are dinosaur cousins. Now, some of you were born after the year 2000. I envy you for that. With your computer, your technology. But when I was a young kid, you would hear, crocodiles are to be dinosaurs, but they're not. They're dinosaur cousins. They're not the same thing. Okay, so how did they do this? How did they go from being like these from Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, those different body plans for the most part? How did this all happen? Well, first of all, geology, of course. Believe it or not, the continents were all pushed together. Now, most of you are like, that sounds, I heard that before. There are people today who still do not believe this. Trust me, I'm online. And so the idea is that the continents came together. There wasn't Profor Pangea time, but when they crushed together, making these mountain ranges, we have the Permian. Now, why is it important to me? Our museum digs in the Permian. We go up there all the time. And so here's my team. My old team. I'm now an educator, not the manager anymore. But the idea is that we will go dig in Seymour. We'd find fossil poop. I made sure to bring some fossil poop for you to touch before you leave tonight. Just, if you touch one fossil this year, fossil poop. You want to wear big floppy hats. Like, being in the field, you're not dressing for fun. A lot of my students go like, oh, I'm going to dress really cute. And I'm like, no, it's all survival. They say, well, James, why do you wear this? Well, I'm a diva. But the point is, someone asked me, why do you dress like this in the field when you see what they normally wear? And I said, dress for the job you want, not the one you have. George Washington went to the Revolution, the Continental Convention, wearing his old uniform. And they were like, we need someone to rule, to run the army. And they're like, how about you? He's like, me? He's expressing that. So when people, I'm in a museum and I'm not wearing this, I go, here's a fun science fact. They don't believe me. They're like, oh, you're just some guy. So I have to wear this to communicate that I'm a dinosaur man. The point is, there's David Temple, our curator of paleontology. He's probably holding a tarantula, knowing him. He's really a fun guy. He's really interesting. But is it not? I'm pushing the button. There you go. Here's the lab. So we dig. Actually, I dig with our museum and Seymour Museum. They have this museum up there with the fossils we find. So when people say, "How do you know they're real? How do you know?" I'm like, I literally been to the mountaintop and exposed new rocks and found these things, brought them back, cleaned them up. And I'm not being funny. It's just that a lot of people ask these questions. I'm not judging them or being negative, but I'm saying like more than I've been there, literally done that, and have a T-shirt somewhere. So you see how I dress like this and everyone else dresses normal. So late Permian is really important because it's the great dying. So these are things really before dinosaurs. So how did they become the rule of the world? They had help. The dinosaurs were not the great overthrowers of their world. They were the underdogs, essentially, and these things called Therapsids ruled the world. You're like, what happened to those things? They died. And the greatest extinction of all time, 97% of life in the ocean died. So I'm a paleo person looking at land dinosaurs mainly. When people who study oceans say, hey, the oceans are dying, and they freak out, there's a reason why, because every time in Earth's history the oceans died, land died. So we're like, connection. Anyway, so what happened, So for example, we see this great massive death. This is the weird shark relative called Helicoprion. It's a buzzsaw on his mouth, it's kind of cool. It doesn't rotate, it's just teeth, but really neat animal. And so this giant event, these volcanic activity, Pangea forms together, and it kills off all this life on land. So we know this happens because we see it. Ever seen Lion King? Hopefully you have. If you haven't seen Lion King, go home, you have homework. But when Scar sing in the original, the animated version in the 90s, Scar singing "Be Prepared," they're in this gas, green gas, everything. That's actually the Rift Valley of Africa. They're actually putting geology in their movie. No one caught it but me, apparently. But these rift valleys open up and it creates new ocean basins. So for example, Pangea was here and began cracking the metal here and here, and it created the Atlantic Ocean, basically. And we see the rocks to support this information. Those are different lectures, that's a different topic. So here's the Earth. We can, kind of like a car accident that happened a long time ago. We're pulling it apart and figuring out what hit what in what order. And so Jurassic period, we have all this stuff going on. A lot of croc-like things are ruling. And basically dinosaurs are the little guys who were not in charge. So again, they did not take over the Jurassic period. They're still the underdogs. There's a new ruling class trying to beat them and submit them. But then, oh yeah, I went to Texas, I've got these pictures in there. So, because I was super excited to find, because salamanders just aren't that big anymore because, pollution. But these guys were like, this is a small one for their time. The museum in Post Texas had remember I mentioned that croc, Postosuchus? They didn't know it existed. I went to the museum and said, there's this thing that people know about your town on TV. The whole world knows about this thing. And they're like, what is that? I'm like, there's this crocodile relative that's like, it's in the various documentaries. You should go like, yeah, no. So I gave my card and said, call me. And so I took a picture of the one fossil room they did have. But anyway, and this is our Postosuchus right here, which means Postosuchus croc. This guy is not a dinosaur, he was a cousin, like a crocodile cousin, but not a true crocodile. So there was a tragic extinction event that killed off many of these things. So at that second term, dinosaurs finally had their shot. So again, they didn't overthrow anything, they were just super lucky and had certain traits. Now one trait to point out, there's me at the Triassic line, it's like red soil, and people say, how do you know the different kinds of like rock layers? Like we see the layers. Like I was digging in Wyoming, I saw we're in late Jurassic rock, down the hill is middle Jurassic rock, above the hill is Cretaceous rock. They're all different colors. Like we're not making this up, it's like right there. Okay, so the Atlantic is being born, Atlantic Ocean, and again, the rocks on this side and that side of the Atlantic, even today, are the same age. The ones in the middle are younger, because it's creating new rock. So Jurassic's on the Age of Giants. This is my area. I love the Jurassic period. I think they're the most. And so one thing to point out is that dinosaurs got really big. Think brachiosaurs, those guys. So you and I breathe, like we're mammals, hopefully. I think you're all mammals. So the idea is that you breathe in and out. That's what I call a Permian plan. Dinosaurs have air sacs. So they breathe air in, and the air goes in the lung. Well, half it goes in the lung, half goes in the air sacs. They expend the lung air, then press it out, and then the air in the air sac goes into the lung. So every one breath is like 2 breaths. That's how birds can fly really high. Like some species of birds can fly really high. You know, we can't. We go to Everest and we're like panicking and everything. How do we know this too? Because dinosaur bones have air sac hollows in the actual bones. And again, birds today have air sacs as well. So we can compare the parts. It's pretty rough. Note everything I'm telling you. There's like tons of papers researching this, but I have like a 20-minute limit, so we're hitting the high points. So Jurassic period, why is it so big? Oh right, so we have an increase in oxygen in the atmosphere. We have bigger plants. So the dinosaurs are eating, and again, think about eating only rice cakes. They're eating pine. There's no fruit in the Jurassic. They're eating pine cone equivalent, pine needles, ferns. Not very fun to eat, but they're eating a lot of it to get really big to move on like that, right? Okay, so here's more information. So when I go from here, I drive to Dallas, Amarillo. That's just day one. Then I drive up here, and I dig usually here in Wyoming. It's a 3-day drive. It's 24 hours, but I do it in 3 days because I'm, enjoying the sights. It's going to be a vacation. And so this is all the more information. Here's the dinosaurs found there mainly. And so my favorite, of course, is Brachiosaurus. Appreciate it. There's also a lot of Diplodocus, Camarasaurus, and all that. The Allosaurus, where is it? There is Allosaurus right here. The most common sauropod predator found there. You may have read a paper or an article about an Allosaurus skin. I was working on that one. I couldn't tell anybody because it was a secret, but it's like it just got out in the news this year. I was like, yes. So here we are. This is my Indianapolis Museum dig. These are some of my tools. I brought my backpack with a few real tools. I don't know if that matters to you. But this is the dig site. Now I can't take broad pictures because the mountains in the background can be scanned on the internet. People can find our dig site. We don't like that. So it's just like pictures that are up close like that. But that is an Allosaurus vertebra right there. That's in Indianapolis right now. So good time. Oh, 2 minutes. Awesome. So we're time is my worst enemy. Like Hamilton, right?
But you will be outside.
I will go outside, yes. So we're gonna wrap up real quick with the biggest one I've ever worked on with sauropod bone. That's me actually working. I'm not that pretty. I do hard work sometimes. So some of the local wildlife, like for example, prairie dogs, they're adorable. They scare you sometimes, but they're adorable. You don't want to dig in the wrong spot. Cretaceous period is right here, so we're going to a new time frame. The Earth is spreading out more, higher sea levels. Hence all the limestone we have in the hill country in northern Egypt, Africa, where they built the pyramids with. There's a giant ocean, I mentioned earlier, it's a giant ocean cut into America in half. I call it the Devil's Aquarium. It's like giant sea snakes, giant, everything's awful, just everything. Just, if you don't like the ocean, this is your time, it's not your time. Cretaceous, Texas, we have a lot of limestone, like footprints here, urchins. This guy is our building manager. He's a long-haired geology guy. You'll see him outside looking out brooding, my friend Alex. If you know him, he's very uptight, and I'm very like, I annoy him a lot. And so here's again footprints of a sauropod here in Texas. Footprints here near Austin, Leander, Austin. So Cretaceous period is known for these big dinosaurs, but in the Texas area, it's in limestone. Here we have a Quetzalcoatlus to my left, the flying pterosaur. It is the size of a giraffe. So Texas, everything's bigger. Just true. So no joke here, just science. Finally, weird dinosaurs. Therizinosaurs are predators, like raptor cousins, that begin eating plants like pandas. They have big giant claws. We'll go over that outside. Another really cool one I'm going to go over in a minute is Spinosaurus outside because it's an aquatic predator. Just like how polar bears and seals are more in the water, they have land ancestors. Spinosaurus took the same route. There's more research recently on this. And in our final days, the T-Rex, why such a big deal? Well, here's who he lives with. He lives with Stegosaurus, different time period. This is what he eats, basically. He's found North America, mainly, except for North U.S. mainly, a small bit of Canada. So it's really more of an American dinosaur. So our movies made him really popular. That's why he's so popular. Because every movie's just like the 40s or 20s or whatever. And finally, dinosaur eggs, real quick. We found these nests. It implies that some dinosaurs have 2 ovaries. Some birds have 1 ovary to make them fly better, they can lighter. That's why when birds poop in your car, they're not doing it on purpose, they have no bladder to hold it. So they should be lighter animals. So they have 1 egg laid at a time. If we see them like this, wrong one. 2 at a time, spoiler. So 2 at a time, we have essentially 2 ovaries working at the same time. So it's like detective work. Finally, the fist of God hit the earth and dinosaurs died out, except for birds. And with that being said, any questions? Time?
Continue outside.
All right, good. We did it, guys. All right. So we'll be all this way or that way. Thank you very much.
Also, on your Valentine's, James drew these pictures. So this is his artwork, and then we just added the words. He'll also be out there signing your Valentine's if you want a fresh signature on there.
We have to get out now. There's another show coming. Autobots transform and roll out.
Or just keep them for yourself.